Testing audio for the live stream. Thanks.
Is our stream connected yet? Can I start the meeting? Good. All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special council meeting for November 17th. We have as we call the meeting to order, we just like to acknowledge that we do our business and manage a community that sits within the traditional territories of the Coast and Strait Salish peoples, and specifically we recognize the Lekwungen-speaking people known today as the Songhees and the Kasapsum nations, and that their connections to these lands and adjoining waters continue to this day. First official order of business, approval of the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved and seconded. Any discussion, corrections, changes? No, all in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. My mayor's remarks are fairly short, but I do want to just thank the Protective Services and all the supporters and volunteers for putting together the Remembrance Day ceremony on November 11th. The turnout was fantastic. The weather was perfect. The sound was excellent, and the live stream worked well by all accounts, allowing people from all over to bear witness to that ceremony. I did want to just acknowledge for the second year the Canadian College of Performing Arts acted as a choral ensemble, and it was very effective in that space, and they did a great job. So it really added to that event. Also want to just thank Parks, Rec and Culture and all the participating artists who took part in the artist studio tour, which also had a very substantial space at the Monterey Center over the weekend. By all accounts, very well attended, particularly the place at Monterey. I will bring council up to date. I think you know, but I was honored to be selected for my 4th year as chair of the Capital Regional Hospital District Board last week. I also, in both my role as mayor and as chair of the Oak Bay Police Board, attended the Greater Victoria Police Foundation event that was in support of all the work that society does. What was interesting was our own police chief, Chief Constable Julie Channon, was the keynote speaker at that, and was very well received by the assembled audience. Many of the people who are supporting that organization are from Oak Bay, so it was I think I probably knew about 3/4 of the people in that room. I just also want to just say, as we're continuing to advance the OCP tonight, obviously there's not public input on it this evening, but with the public hearing scheduled for early December, I wanted to just revisit comments I made a couple of weeks ago, just to remind the public and ourselves. Obviously, this has been a bit of a rushed process under the provincially mandated deadlines. That has created some anxiety and division in the process. Despite those, I am appreciative of the overwhelmingly respectful feedback and input that we've had in the public meetings to date, but I also want to acknowledge there's been some personally directed criticisms or accusations, and just want to state for the record those are not acceptable. We're going to do everything we can to keep decorum in these chambers and outside of it as well. We will be having debate tweaks today on first and second reading. I think just first reading tonight, as it turns out. And then, of course, the public hearing. I just wanted to reiterate need for that respectful dialogue, and most importantly, our obligation for careful listening. In the public hearing, we expect there will be different opinions on the types, locations, and scale of density appropriate for the community, and it's just really important, and this is for everybody. Everybody has to feel comfortable sharing their opinions, and it's incredibly important that we just focus on those policy opinions and not the person with a different opinion. I can assure you that council will be listening with an open mind. We will debate any of the options with respect, and I look forward to having the public feedback that does the same through the balance of this and, of course, future projects. Thank you. That's all my comments. We move now to presentations, and we're lucky enough to have the South Island Prosperity Partnership here with us this evening. Why don't I just invite you forward, and you can introduce yourself, and if there's anybody online that's joining you as well, certainly recognize you, Mr. Stone.
Still getting used to sitting on this side of the table.
Yeah.
But thank you all for having me. And I've got my colleague here, Dallas Giselson, and Taryn Sam, the new executive director from Indigenous Prosperity Center, sends her regrets, but thanks you all for your time, and as well, Jason Goldsworthy, the executive director of the Coast Initiative, is busy getting phase 2 work prepped for our Pacifican submission, so couldn't make it this evening, but I can hopefully answer any questions that you might have, and if I cannot, I will follow up tomorrow with fulsome replies. If we're good to go,
Please.
I can take it away. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. To the District of Oak Bay partners, I want to extend our deepest thanks. Your investment in and commitment to our regional collaboration is the most vital component for the economic opportunities we are building together. You are not just important funders, you are co-creators of a more resilient, inclusive, sustainable, and entrepreneurial South Island economy. For almost a decade, the South Island Prosperity Partnership has been the essential mechanism that translates regional opportunity into tangible economic action. We are a collaborative regional alliance of municipalities, First Nations, post-secondary, nonprofit, and private sector organizations. This evening, I'm here to report on the achievements of the past year and to invite you to accelerate the profound shift we are leading through the Rising Economy 2030 strategy. In the last 12 months, our collaborative work has dramatically accelerated our impact, achieving results that are not just recognized regionally, but internationally. Our model works because it is designed for this region. It is equitable, giving smaller jurisdictions an equal voice at the table, and crucially, it is incredibly affordable. The average municipal investment is only $1.64 per capita, making SIP's mandate the most cost-effective in all of Canada. And that modest investment delivers massive returns on investment. We achieve powerful efficiency through leverage. For example, every municipal dollar invested in operations since our founding has leveraged $1.63 of external funds, federal, provincial, and private sector funding into our projects. The overall return in annual household payroll generated is a remarkable 57-to-1 over the municipal investment. This approach has been internationally validated with the IADC Bronze Award for Economic Development Organization of the Year for 2025. It's the highest award we've ever seen, and we still got room to grow to gold. That international recognition also extends to our talent attraction work. Our digital platform, Victoria Rising, which markets our region to attract key talent and companies, it earned the IADC Gold Award for Best Special Purpose Website. This platform actively targets and attracts the essential workers in healthcare, clean tech, and other high-growth sectors that all of our communities desperately need. Over the next few slides, we'll give a quick highlight reel of the IPC and Coast initiatives. These are just the highlights, as we don't nearly have the time to cover even a fraction of their work. But I would encourage you to get engaged, attend some of the many events we hold each year, and get excited about where we're headed. Our focus on Indigenous economic reconciliation, that's a mouthful, is through the Indigenous Prosperity, or IPC initiative, which ensures economic growth is Indigenous-led and values-driven. We have successfully raised over $1 million to support this work to date. The IPC is driving action now. We are actively engaging over 200 youth and 130 entrepreneurs annually, preparing for the second annual youth conference in 2026, and developing a municipal Indigenous procurement workshop for local government that will guide Indigenous procurement opportunities across the region. Our South Island Indigenous Business Directory has now exceeded 120 members and continues to grow. Shifting to the blue economy, or establishing global leadership here through COAST, the Center for Ocean Applied Sustainable Technologies. COAST is accelerating climate-focused ocean technology and innovation, leveraging over $2 million from the BC Ice Fund and over $3 million from Pacifican, with another phase to come starting next year. This slide highlights the strategic growth of Coast. We recently also opened the Coast Hub in downtown Victoria as the home for innovation. We also launched Blue Pathways in September of 2024, a Coast initiative that provides curated training and career pathways in high-demand areas like renewable energy and data AI for the blue economy. The Coast model is a comprehensive ecosystem builder focusing on 4 pillars. Those are outreach, training, investment, and facility development. Current project initiatives include planning the BC Marine Energy and Decarbonization Hub and an autonomous vessels hub, among others. These gold standard results and this major funding leverage are the momentum we've generated, but as this slide reminds us, we have critical structural challenges. An over-reliance on the public sector and high costs continue to drive young people away. It is time to reset the story of who we are. The Rising Economy Task Force identified core structural issues we must address, including persistent affordability, stagnating productivity, and the challenge of disjointed efforts in a shared regional economy. Our path forward is built on a foundation of regional strengths. As Dallas would say, build from what's strong, not what's wrong. A highly skilled workforce, a stable economic base, thriving technology sectors, and a world-class quality of life are all things that we can draw on. Our future success is governed by the Rising Economy 2030 strategy, our comprehensive 5-year plan 2026 through 2030 for a greater Victoria economy. The plan is not a top-down document. It has been validated by a rigorous process that included the launch of the Rising Economy Task Force in March of this year, public surveys, extensive engagement with community and business leaders, with the Task Force report launched in September, and the Rising Economy 2030 strategy launched just a few weeks ago in October. This work has led to a renewed mission for us. SIP is a collaborative regional alliance driving the economic future of Greater Victoria. We implement projects to steer the region towards our 4 strategic RISE goals. Our vision is to build a region where innovators and entrepreneurs thrive alongside local shopkeepers, where Indigenous and non-Indigenous people co-create prosperity, and where young people can build their futures here. The RISE economy is our strategic outcome, a resilient, inclusive, sustainable, and entrepreneurial region. There's more details on these in the materials that I've sent along previously and will be reviewed next week at our local leadership forum as part of activating the plan. But a plan is just paper without a collective spirit, and this is where the Possibility Charter comes in, a region-wide declaration that hope is fundamental to strategy. We are collectively flipping the script, shifting the regional narrative from complacency to one defined by hope and entrepreneurship. The Charter is a community-driven pledge that asks all leaders, including yourselves, to commit to building a greater Victoria where young people are welcomed, where risk-takers are celebrated, and where collaboration is the default. The Rising Economy 2030 plan gives us the how, the Possibility Charter gives us the why. And if I have another moment here, I do have a video to run for you all. There's no sound, but it's great. I guarantee it. Should be sound, but. It looks like it may have frozen. I'll send you the link. It's a great video, I assure you. I'm just going to see if I can. There we go. So looking ahead, our mission is clear. Activate the 2030 plan, expand the Charter's influence, scale up Coast, and drive deeper economic inclusion for Indigenous people. To our municipal partners, our regional alliance, fueled by your collaboration and your highly efficient investment, is not just working, it is leading nationally and recognized globally. We ask for your continued partnership to keep the momentum going and to achieve the shared prosperity the South Island is capable of. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stone. And well within time, by the way.
Well, the video was 2 minutes, so I was probably going to be a bit over if I got a chance to run the video. But.
Fair enough. So we obviously have had this ahead of time, so people had a chance to read through it. Councillor Watson, you're the council liaison to South Island Prosperity Partnership. Did you want to ask any? I'll let you kick off any questions, or you can even make a statement if you wish, since there's no motion on the floor.
Really, I'd like to make a statement. I'd again like to welcome Aaron and Dallas to be with us tonight. I know they're taking the dog and pony show around the entire region, and so many presentations like this. I think it's really important that municipal partners are a key to the whole organization and the initiatives going forward. And I'm really pleased that Oak Bay is able to participate in the initiative, in the activities, in the workshops, and in our financial support through this model, which works to bring economic prosperity to the whole region. And so collaboration is required. And so we are a collaborator, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I'm really looking forward to the workshop next week, where we'll be able to build on the kind of momentum and excitement we had last year as we looked as a group of municipal leaders about what the role that we can play in forwarding initiatives. I just want to say that I'm really impressed with the speed at which the new strategic plan was brought together and how broad-based the input was. And so again, just welcome and thank you for your good work and really working with all the right actors to create a vibrant and resilient and prosperous region.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from members of council? Go ahead, Councillor Braithwaite.
Thanks so much, and thanks for the report and for everything that you guys are doing. At the very beginning, you said that it's $1.64 per capita for, is that just for Oak Bay, for everybody?
That average, so if you'd like a specific Oak Bay, I can do the math pretty quickly. I don't know if Dallas has it, but...
It's okay, but I just wondered if something happened and different organizations dropped out, I would assume that would raise our per capita, or does it not? Because I think that's a question that's
we
out
did
there.
have 2 defector municipalities, which I'm hoping to get back this cycle. But actually, we lowered our operating budget as a result. So we didn't ask for any more money from the contributing municipalities. I think, it's been a year-long journey for me. I arrived here just over a year ago now into this role, and having, served a decade as a mayor and as a local government, I feel the strain and the push and pull between the challenges, not just around housing files and OCPs, but municipal finance and the increasing number of pressure and responsibilities being put on local governments. And in respect of that, I think the next phase for our work, considering the go forward, is to work with the municipal partners in the new year to kind of go through and look at a refreshed set of member benefits for the municipalities that are participating. How can we support difficult challenges that you need to overcome, whether it's an economic lens on OCP or development proposals? So in the new year, once we feel a little more confident that our funding future is intact, we want to embark on that operational lens, if you will, over the final quarter of our fiscal year leading to the end of March, and be really set up in a good way to activate the 2030 plan heading into the new 3-year program. And in a letter I'll send you all and your staff tomorrow, our request is to get onto a cycle of sort of contract with you that would land middle of each municipal elected term. That allows us to seek external funding partners that are a little bit less skittish if they know that we have a level of commitment from our municipal partners. And also by renewing those commitments mid-term for successive councils gives new councils an opportunity to get engaged and learn about the work that we do, and also keeps it away from the difficult, challenging times heading into an election season. Having done a similar thing when I was on the other side of the table, I found that worked well for our partners that we worked with externally, but also allowed better engagement, I think, from members of council, and staff members are always welcome as well to engage with our work. And I think that we'll see that not only in the plan and the strategies and the activities that we're putting forward in the years ahead, but that that review and renewal of how we connect more directly with municipalities will show even greater impact and benefits to our municipal partners as well.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Patterson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and through you to our guest. Thank you so much for the presentation. I really do feel that that SIPS is good value. I mean, you accomplish what you do with great efficiency. So I commend you on that, and obviously you have the recognition to prove that. What I am wondering is, and you're right, all municipalities are under pressure, as are most things these days. Could you give me a feel for what percentage of your revenues are generated from the private sector?
Right now, my goal is to get to 60-40 is about where we're at right now. I want to push towards 50-50 over this next term. We do have a renewed interest from the private sector in memberships within our organization. We've gained 4 new members this year in the private sector, in a really challenging, difficult time where a lot of investment at a higher level is being held back. And that's just our annual operating funding, though. Overall, in the last 3 years, for example, for about less than $2 million total municipal investment across all municipalities as members over the last 3 years, we've generated over $5 million in senior government funding and over $5 million of private sector investment to match that senior government funding. So it's really important to us to continue to move towards a more sustainable model that's less reliant on government funding overall. But it's a journey that we're on that will still take a number of years of dedicated leadership and activities that show the private sector more and more value. Some of the things in our region, we're really excited about it. New industrial strategy that we haven't been able to totally pick apart yet, though, but does talk about marine as a major sector for British Columbia. Federal budget passed today by 2 votes. There's a lot of things in there that send good signals to us about funding potential, the investment in our military in the region, which brings together that intersection of ocean and marine, military, and technology development, 3 key strengths that we have across the Greater Victoria region. So if we're able to really activate those, and we've reserved capacity in our operations to address emerging opportunities, we're really excited about where we'll be able to go over the next few years.
Great, thank you. I don't see other hands or questions. Just one, what is the anticipated use or timeline for the possibility charter? You have it out for people to sign on to it. Is there a timeline where you're trying to get everybody together to sign it, or just to have it done by a certain date?
So we're taking signatures online right now. We would like to, at intervals, we want to be able to celebrate the growth of the possibility charter, but it's more than just the declaration itself. A lot of our activities at the local leadership forum are framed around kind of countering the prevailing negative narratives that we might hear out there with some positivity and opportunity focus. So we're going to bring those stories forward. Organizations and companies that are leading in our region that have engaged with SIP over the history, talk about their success stories and sort of flip the script and put forward a more, like I said, positive and opportunity focused narrative. And with that, we want to demonstrate at the local leadership forum how we turn that sort of hope piece plus the strategy into tangible action by hopefully drafting some champions that will help move the initiatives in the 2030 strategy forward from that lens of positivity and opportunity. I think I have unique perspective being able to read and watch the news and hear the narratives that came out of this region before arriving here. Obviously a little bit more insight because I'm a municipal politician and know many of you. But at the same time, when I arrived here, there was a disconnect between what I had thought I might arrive to and what I've experienced. There's no question. It's not a Pollyanna thing where we pretend there aren't major challenges and issues we need to overcome, but it's not nearly as bad as you might think if you kind of just read the papers or watched what shows on TV. So we think there's a responsibility, like you all tried to do in your roles, to really put forward a more comprehensive view of the opportunities that are here and counter some of that prevailing negativity that might be out there with a little more clear-eyed positivity leading into the opportunities we think are in front of us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
And thank you for having me, and again, thank you for your commitment to our work.
Great, and have a good rest of your evening. You're welcome, of course, to stay.
Yeah, I don't know, Oak Bay OCP stuff, I think I'll jet. But in all seriousness, on our way out, I do recognize the challenge. I had conversation with some of the people in the lobby before coming in, and I felt the same pressure that you're all going through. We did so much important work on our own OCP that was just kind of upset by the directive, so we know how challenging it is, and I know that we all want to see the different housing types and opportunities, but I just commend you all on sort of going through that real struggle and trying to balance all your community needs in a really difficult time.
We will get out the other side, no problem.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. I move now to section 7 of the, yes, make sure I've got that right. Yep, special meeting matters. So here's our work to work through the official community plan update. There is some update to process here, and I'm going to be fairly procedural this evening as we sort of walk through some of the pieces. There's a draft bylaws. There are red line version of those bylaws. There have been quite a few sort of eagle-eyed edits come in, just, capitalization, typos, things of that nature. So appreciate anybody who submitted those. So there's a multi-step process that we're going to go through, deal with the highest level stuff first, then the then we'll just sort of, I'll walk through it. So what I'll do is I'll take, maybe just hand this over to, I'm not sure actually who's going to be spearheading this tonight, because this is more procedural than it is land use, but is it Mr. Bull or you? Okay, why don't I hand this over to you?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Council. In front of you, you have the draft OCP bylaw. You can see in the report, we followed up on the various directions and decisions from you from the last 2 meetings. The current OCP draft is still in draft form. It's not quite the polished end product yet. And as the Mayor was referencing, a few loose ends in the editorial, but also some last changes that to coordinate and make sure everything is consistent. Let me see. What we have prepared is a number of items for council consideration to confirm, but particularly the minor changes or editorial changes, and we can put those on screen for you to see and to consider, and that might help facilitate kind of a focused approach. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, maybe just put you on the spot, or Ms. Hunt, do you want me to take this over? I just think it's good for us to know that this has some impact on timelines, and procedure. We'll walk through it, but go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and I'll ask Ms. Anderson to fill in anything that I miss. But essentially, tonight we were hoping to receive first and second reading from Council, and then move to notification of a public hearing. Given the number of changes that staff have noted, and a lot of these are sort of housekeeping type changes, but we also know that Council has some policy questions and discussion to have tonight, that we are hoping that Council will move the first reading, as well as move the consideration of the OCP in the context of the financial plan bylaw and the Capital Regional District Core Area Waste Management Plans, and then move on to amendments. And we have some proposed resolutions for Council, or recommendations to Council to make those amendments. And then next week, we will back a updated final draft to get second reading, and then move to public hearing. So that will delay the public hearing by a week, and then we would have to call a special meeting to approve the bylaw after the public hearings. But this is essentially pushing it out by another week, because we are not anticipating that Council will move second reading tonight. Does that help?
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you very much. And procedurally here, I appreciate that there may not be support for the overall OCP as it stands right now, but I certainly would really welcome all of the input from all members of Council, even if you don't support the overall, to make sure that we're making good decisions to make what does go forward the best it can be within the framework here. So with that, we have some suggested, I guess, first of all, are there any questions on that, on the process moving forward? There was a lot just at the kickoff. And I'll walk us through the process. Go ahead, Councillor Watson.
Yes, could I just ask Ms. Hunt to recap what she sees happening first? I didn't quite follow.
Yes. First, we would like you to do the first couple of motions, which is, read for the first time the official community plan bylaw, as well as the second one, and then we will move into the various amendments and motions.
Thank you. And so just to follow up, when would the opportunity be just for questions or discussion with staff about particular things that we may have been seeing in the draft for the first time?
It's probably best to bring them up now, if you have any, and then we'll go. And there'll be room at the end as well if they're not captured. So there's that option as well. But why don't you raise them, and if they're in the list of things for some of the housekeeping things, then we can certainly touch on those as they come up. But go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I did have one thing. I didn't really participate in the dotting the i's and crossing the t's. I was sure that many eyes would be looking at it. I spotted a few things, but one thing I did want to ask about, and it is a question for staff, that we did see in the draft plan and the built environment section, a policy, it's numbered BE12, with respect to single egress stairway buildings, and a suggestion in the plan that these be by official OCP policy, not permitted in Oak Bay. And I didn't recall ever had any discussion or having that in front of us before. I wanted to understand why that policy was there, and then have a discussion with my council colleagues about whether it's the right place for that to be happening at the moment. So that was my really one big question coming out of what came to us on Thursday or Friday or whatever day it was. Thank you.
That is perfect, and that's exactly, so that is one of the motions that will be coming under the proposed council changes that we might consider policy, and those options will be up for us on the screen, and we can talk through it at that time. Yeah, that's perfect. Go ahead, Councillor Smart.
Thank you. I'm just attending today from Vancouver at a conference, so thanks for your understanding and being online. If I have submitted questions already, I guess I'm just wondering, it sounds like they have been potentially captured. I'll ask these two questions just to make sure they've been captured. My first question through you, Mayor, to staff was that there was a resident who had emailed in just with a concern around potential demolition of buildings related to what could be a council-approved strata process for a building conversion. And I wondered if staff could just comment on I guess the appropriateness of potentially putting forward a motion with regards to encouraging strata when heritage and existing buildings are potentially included as part of the OCP versus this potentially not really being an OCP issue and something that can be dealt with in another format.
So I matter under possible council changes, so it will come up as an option for us to consider, and we have wording that you submitted as a possible piece if you want to use that, but we can also just talk about it and see what we can ask the questions first at that time to understand what the best course of action is as well.
Okay, great. And then through you, Mayor, to staff again, and perhaps this one has also been captured, but it was just a question with regards to the built environment DPA with regards to ancillary buildings being designed consistent with the principal building, and if staff had any potential issue with in considering heritage buildings and the guidelines for conservation of historic places, perhaps there might be instances where there might need to be a complementary but not consistent design. And I wondered if staff would be open to a motion that might propose the word complementary, just to open up the wanting to not mimic a heritage building.
I'm going to stop you because it is on the list.
Okay.
And I'll give you a chance to motivate or talk to it at that time. Yeah, no, I think we captured everything, so if there's not, if there's something that isn't at the end of this, then I would certainly bring that forward. So what's the list is here, so either things staff have captured, councillors have submitted, or other pieces. So I think we got them all, but certainly use your list in case we didn't get them all. Councillor Watson.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Thank you, but I don't think I'm looking at the same list. I've had something in front of me that you seem to suggest has items on it that we've been talking about, and they're not. So maybe you have something different than I do.
I just have speaker's notes here for managing the meeting. So.
The thing, all three things that have just been mentioned, the one I raised and whatever, are not in the thing that's in front of us on the desk. So you have more information right now than the rest of us. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm not sure what you have. I just have my speaker's notes. Oh, there we go. Oh. Okay. Well, they will. Mr. Bull?
Yeah, I can clarify, but the list that that all of you have is the list with the staff changes that are going to be made or proposed to be made. Then there are some others that have individual councils have proposed, and that's another list. We do have that available, but we didn't want to preempt if councillors wanted to bring it up tonight or not. Maybe it was just a question. So for that reason, I think the mayor probably has the longer list.
Yes,
just for
okay, that's
information.
why.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, typically, we don't circulate sort of potential council motions ahead of time. That being said, we do have them prepared so we can put them up on screen so that we can talk to them, because they were just in the interest of managing this. I do. Go ahead, Councillor Braithwaite.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I'm wondering if this is the time that I might ask, and I apologize, I just sent it to staff because I thought it was sent to them, but it was in my draft box, around a clear reconciliation statement that might be included in the OCP. And would this be the time to ensure that that was in there?
So our issue tonight is we have to have very specific wording that we are approving. We can't give any general.
So I just sent it to staff. I'm sorry for the late
Okay.
sending. I CC'd Ms. Hunt on it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we'll get to that at the end, and if you want to make a motion at the end of this, then we can certainly do that. Go ahead, Councillor Appleton.
Thank you, Worship. So just following up on that procedurally, my understanding would be that additions of that type of language or sort of broader based OCP language would be also submitted, actually could be submitted up to and including third reading. Is that correct?
That is not correct. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's correct. I don't go to staff, but my understanding is the full OCP has to be completed for second reading. So, but I'll give it over to Ms. Anderson about possible amendment pieces. Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor, and that's definitely the best for the public hearing, sort of the version as endorsed by council is in front of the public. There is a narrow opportunity after the hearing. Council could respond to things heard at the hearing, but there's limitations of what changes can be made at third reading. It's much more narrow than before leading up to the hearing. Thank you.
If it's too substantial, we would have to go back and do second reading again with the modifications. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Councillor Appleton?
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification, Your Worship. I'm clarifying because if that's including at second reading. So if we're only contemplating to do first reading tonight, then we would be able to add language at second reading. I did not come prepared with language more broadly for the OCP. I assumed that we were going to be talking specifically about, amendments and practical components that needed addressing at this point, if you will, the technical work. But if there is an ability to incorporate more broad-based language, I certainly would relook at the content with that eye and then potentially make a motion to that effect at second reading, if that's what I'm hearing correctly.
Yeah, those are possible. So why don't we walk through these, and I think hopefully we captured everything that we heard and what that staff had captured, and we'll come to that at the end. So I'm going to walk through these, not fast, but just procedurally. So what I'm going to seek is that the official community plan bylaw 4942-2025 be read a first time.
So moved.
Mover and seconder. We don't normally debate on first reading. We usually go do that debate at second reading, but there's nothing inherently strong here that we can't. But I'm going to call first reading, then we'll go back and have amendments after this. Okay, so just a reminder, this is on the OCP as it is right now. All those in favor and those opposed, Councillor Appleton, Smart, opposed. That passes. Then I'm going to ask the motion that Council considers the proposed official community plan update in conjunction with the district's financial plan and the Capital Regional District Core Area Waste Management Plans. My voice is going, so I probably shouldn't be reading these. Is there a mover and seconder?
So moved.
Mover and seconder. Thank you. Again, this is a requirement under the Local Government Act or Community Charter that we have to make this motion as part of this. Are there any questions or discussion on this before I call the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Yep.
And
please.
then I'll move that staff be directed to correct the official community plan bylaw number 4942-2025 by revising clerical, grammatical, and typographical errors and make other similar changes without changing the substance of the bylaw to bring out more clearly what is considered to be the meaning of the bylaw or to improve the expression of the law and provide for consideration at second reading.
Seconded. Any discussion on that? Councillor Appleton?
A question to your worship. When we're talking, when the language here talks about bring out more clearly what is considered to be the meaning of the bylaw or to improve the expression of the law, I guess what I understand to be implicit in that is that any, sort of senior government regulations or any other standards that have changed in the interim since the last OCP was prepared would be automatically updated to reflect current language.
I'm not sure who to give that question over to. Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, that is correct.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Smart.
Yes, thank you. Just because I didn't have an option to speak to the first motion and I wanted to, I just thought I would take this opportunity to just express that it's because I have hope for Oak Bay's future as a place of possibility for the next generation that I do not support this OCP, and I'm voting against it because I do think we need to work to create a sense of belonging in Oak Bay for our families, youth, and renters, and those who continue to fall into deeper levels of affordability.
Thank you, Councillor Smart. Don't see any other questions or comments on this portion. I do want to express my appreciation to staff for all the work they did to make sure they get all the language right with legal review and everything else to make sure this allows for the right boundaries of what we can delegate. So, yes, thank you. With that, all those in favor? Any opposed? Not opposed. Thank you. Okay, so there's a number of staff recommended changes, and if we can bring them up on the screen just so we have them written in front of us. I think members of council have it here as well, but slowly responding mouse. Sure. Yeah, we can zoom in a little bit on that, maybe just to make sure the text is as large as possible, fills the screen. Are you in Word there? You can just hit Control Plus as well to make it a little bit bigger, I think. Oh. Okay. So what I'm going to seek is a motion. So the language of the motion that the official community plan bylaw 4942/2025 be amended. And then this is the first one, section 1.71. The language be changed from broad growth management objectives to to include the word growth management objectives in the OCP.
So moved.
Seconded. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Any opposed? Not opposed. Section 3, climate change and energy.
I'll move that the Capital Region District has developed a climate action strategy that outlines a pathway towards net zero emissions by mid-century in
No, I
line.
think that part is struck out, is it not?
Oh, that's part is struck out.
So, yeah. So perhaps you can just read the part that is not struck out. Oh, sorry, I called the question on that.
Struck in.
Oh, it is struck in, okay. I apologize.
Can I have some clarification on this one, please?
Yeah, so if we just get clarification, are we approving that that language be removed?
Your Worship, I can speak to this this change. Obviously, this section, this paragraph previously said that the Capital Regional District has developed a climate action strategy that outlines a pathway towards net zero emissions by mid-century. Unfortunately, the Capital Regional District's climate action strategy doesn't set a net zero target by 2050. They have a reduction target of 68% by 2038, but have not set a date when they will achieve net zero from a community perspective, but have on a corporate level.
So we are striking this to be in
Correct.
alignment with the
Correct.
CRD. Okay. That makes more sense to have a strikeout that removes it than adds it, so thank you. So with that, do you want to move that, you can probably move that section 3 climate change and energy, that this be struck. Yeah.
I'll move that Section 3, Climate Change and Energy, strike out the word strategy that outlines a pathway towards net zero emissions by mid-century.
Actually, the strategy stays, just for the record.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Maybe we'll just move item number, staff recommendation number 2. How's that?
Okay, sure.
Clarification purpose. Okay. Staff recommendation number 2, as Lou has shown here. I'm glad we had the clarification questions. Any discussion or questions on that? All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed? Okay. We can continue if you
I'll
wish.
move that under policy CCE1, that we strike the words in line with Capital Regional District Climate Action Strategy from that paragraph.
Right, because that's no longer their strategy. Okay, is that understood by everybody? Okay, so it's moved. Is there a seconder? Same seconder. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Somebody else wants to take over, you can do so, or if you're ready. In section 5, community framework. Go ahead.
By inserting new policy CF1 townhouse residential, number 6, the townhouse designation on Schedule B consists primarily of ground-oriented low-rise buildings forming a row of attached houses with each unit having their own private entrance and units facing the street.
Okay. So that's the clarification of that description. Seconded, thank you. Is there any other discussion on that language?
I do have a question.
Please go ahead, Councillor Smart.
Thank you. I'm just not understanding the full context of this moment versus others. Does this change what was in the land use designation table that was provided to us earlier for townhouse residential, or is this different than townhouse residential?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Green.
No, so there is a table with those land use designations which has the townhouse residential designation within that table 4.1. But unfortunately, in the list of those policies under CF1, there was no policy specifically related to townhouse residential, and so that's why we've added that townhouse designation to policy CF1.
Is that clear, Councillor Smart? Please continue.
Then I just wanted clarification, because in the land use designation table that is in front of me, for townhouse residential, it also has multiplexes. So I'm just wondering, am I seeing a change to what was provided to us earlier?
Just let staff have a look that up on their document. Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Well, Mr. Green checks for that. Yes, the wording might be slightly different, but together they form the land use designation. So we could make it fully consistent, but it's the same housing style that we're referring to. Thank you.
Agreed. Okay. There you go, Councillor Smart. Anything else?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just one more question to staff then. So I'm still a bit unclear, just because I'm not sure where this is in the entire document with this on my screen right now. So are there other places in the document that describe townhouse residential with the land use designation chart that include multiplexes? Or is that there? Thank you. Okay, so that is elsewhere in the document. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So I have it, I think I moved and seconded this piece. We did, yes, we did. I saw Councillor Braithwaite read it out, so it's moved and seconded. Go ahead, Councillor Watson.
Yes, just a query, not to be pedantic, but should it not say the townhouse residential designation if we're trying to look for making those cross-references easier for folks to follow? That's my motion to amend the motion.
Right, because the townhouse is referenced in a couple of different places, both in townhouse and in the multifamily, because there's in the infill residential. So I'm just want to make sure that I don't know if they're the same thing. Mr. Bull?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, it's a good suggestion. The townhouse residential designation in the table has that name already, so for consistency, it would make sense to add it in. Mr. Green did type it in there already. It would be a good, consistent thing to have. Thank you.
And the mover and seconder amenable to that change? Okay, both good. So the motion sitting here is townhouse residential designation on Schedule B consists, et cetera. We're all clear? Any other discussion? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Not opposed. I now move to 5, which is Community Framework Subsection Land Use Framework Policies. So we have policy CF1, number 9. Perhaps someone, maybe we can just move this 5th recommendation
I'll
and
move the
people can
5th
read it.
recommendation.
Actually, if there's people in the audience or watching, it might help, because otherwise they can see it on screen, but it doesn't help to
Okay,
hear it.
the uplands designation on Schedule B consists primarily of residential and accessory uses in a wide range of existing and infill ground-oriented buildings, including single detached, duplex, triplex, laneway houses, garden suites, and secondary suites. Uplands is a unique neighborhood planned in 1908 and guided by its own design guidelines. The overall objectives include retaining the residential park setting, retaining sightlines and view corridors, preserving healthy trees, and encouraging native species.
Great, thank you. So that's the revised language. Councillor Green? And then Councillor Appleton? You need to put your microphone on, please.
I was going to suggest a couple of wording changes in the, I apologize, but they're very minor. One was park-like setting, because that is the common language that describes the site. And the other one was preserving healthy tree canopies. I think that's more inclusive canopies. Thank you.
Sorry, you were saying preserving healthy tree canopies?
Canopies.
I'm just going to give staff a check-in to look at that, because I just want to make sure that that doesn't, that is in alignment with what their understanding of the intention of this is as well. Mr. Boole?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. That's our understanding as well. So we could add it in right here if so preferred.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that would be this motion as it is, but adding the like after park, so park-like settings, and preserving healthy tree canopies, not just trees, and encouraging native species. So that's understood by the motion. Okay, so the mover and seconder agree to that.
Thank you very much.
I'm not going to take a motion to amend. I'm just going to take this as an amended motion by the mover. So that's the amendment on the floor right now in front of us. Go ahead, Councillor Appleton, I think, and then Watson, and then Green, and then Smart.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, just question to staff with respect to this itemizes a number of different housing forms in uplands, and obviously there's some sensitivity about sort of uplands and fourplexes generally, and of course fourplexes are universal. I'm going to assume that fourplexes are not called out in individual designations here in the schedules because they're universal on all residential zoned properties in the district. So there's not necessarily that I'm a little concerned that folks in uplands may read this and understand that to mean that because fourplex isn't specifically included, that's potentially that uplands is being considered differently with respect to fourplexes, which it isn't in the current zoning.
Sure, thank you. I'll go. I think it's the same situation as last time. It's a combination of the two things, but go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for noting that. This is meant to reflect the same infill housing uses that are also in the residential designation. The other designation does have the word multiplexes that Mr. Green is just highlighting there. So if it's agreeable to council, we would like to include that word as well to make it crystal clear it's the same type of land use as in the other designation. Thank you.
Sure, I'm going to just ask the mover inside. I noticed that, yeah, it's already, that language is already in the tables for the land use designation. So just make sure the mover and the seconder are comfortable with that addition to make it consistent. I got these two over here, okay? So this is now amended in those two ways. So park-like settings, so we have it on the screen. Yep, tree canopies, and perfect. So that's the motion that's now live. Anything else, Councillor Appleton? Go ahead, Councillor Watson, and then Smart.
Yeah, thank you. I have something, 3 words I would actually like to add to that too, if the mover and the seconder would consider them additive and in keeping. And that is just that it would say the overall objectives include retaining the residential park-like setting and street pattern.
Before I ask that thing, I'm going to ask the same thing of staff, but just to make sure this doesn't deviate from the intention of this portion of the OCP. Recognize this is a mix of many parts, so I just want to make sure this is the right place for that language. Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, we think it's a good location to note that in the table and in this text. Thank you.
Okay, so it's highlighted there, and street pattern. Mover and seconder, okay. Okay, so we have that motion language added now to the motion. Anything else, Councillor Watson?
No, thank you. That was it.
Councillor Smart?
My question was answered, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion live on the floor. I don't see any other hands for discussion, so I'm going to call the question on this. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you. We'll go to section 6. Again, this is adding language into the land use designation table in the uplands. Oh, is it and Cedar Hill Corner in one motion? Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor. No, it was meant to be a separate thing, so I think the first next up is the uplands table language. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll move that we make the change on table 4.1 in section 5 under the uplands to ground-oriented housing, including single detached duplexes, detached accessory dwellings, multiplexes, and townhouses up to 4 units total on a lot.
The language is in there. Seconded. Any other discussion on that? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Then we have the Cedar Hill Corner, which has a bit of a couple of different changes to language that are highlighted on the screen here.
So under section 5, table 4.1, under Cedar Hill Corner, should that be Cedar Hill Corners? Cedar Hill Corners, maybe. There are specific policies in this OCP related to the Cedar Hill Corner lands, and developed by UVic, and should it say UVic and Oak Bay in conjunction with the?
No.
Don't know. UVic, Oak Bay, and.
Let's just move what it says, and then we can get to amendments
Okay.
if you wish to.
I'll move UVic, Oak Bay, and the district UVic.
No, just, yeah, sorry. The language would be that characteristics we developed through a master plan developed by UVic in conjunction with the district to include. That's right, the striking out there is a little hard to read. Moved and seconded, thank you. Just only minor thing is it appropriate to be using UVic as a shorthand, or should we use University of Victoria? If it's common usage in the document, then happy to keep it in there. Okay, perfect, thank you. Councillor Appleton?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to staff. It specifically references, this component says specific policies in the OCP related to the Cedar Hill Corner lands. In the future, the projection and the anticipation is that there will be a master planning process for the Cedar Hill Corner lands. I'm going to assume that not everything contemplated by a future master planning process will be captured in the current OCP. In fact, given the scope of what is potentially possible, there would possibly be specific OCP updates necessitated by the master planning process. So essentially this is, I don't want to refer to it as a placeholder, but essentially we do not need to tack down all the language around policy statements around future development patterns at Cedar Hill Corner because we have not seen a master plan.
Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and through you. Yes, that's correct. Not everything is known yet. It is the intent of this language to create the framework or the container for it. So it may well be possible that a master plan fits within these policies, but it does mean that the master plan itself down the road will have other details as well. And if there are substantial changes that go outside of the framework provided in the more detailed policies that I will add later, a little bit further into the document, then it might come back for updates to either uses or heights or whatever it may be. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't see other discussion, so I'm going to call, oh, sorry,
Oh,
Councillor
I
Smart.
have
Yeah,
some
go ahead,
discussion.
Councillor Smart, sorry.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to staff. I guess I'm just a little bit confused by this edit. So I was contacted by you, Vic, with 4 very specific requested edits. And unless they're further on in this document, because I haven't had a chance to review it yet, I don't see those 4 specific red light items addressed here. And so I'm confused by this particular correction. I did submit the 4 requested edits by UPIC, but it doesn't seem like it's accurately captured here. Maybe staff can comment.
I do believe some of those edits were already in the non-red line version, but I'll just go over to staff. We can take some time and come back to that, because certainly anything else that wants to be added can be done through a council resolution. Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor. One of those requests was already in, and there's a few other similar minor changes there in other spots, either coming up or I think there may have been 1 or 2 that we look for council to bring that up. But I'll double check. I think that was all in the realm of changes that could be made. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, Councillor Smart, I think we'll take these changes here, and if the changes that you were interested in seeing aren't dealt with, we can circle back to those before the close.
Thank you. Just because I've been trying to read this in comparison to the information I received, I'm still not clear on what the conceptual nature is of this edit. So through you, Mayor, to staff, if you could just confirm again what we're looking at here and why. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. I'll give that over to Mr. Bowl to explain the two columns and the changes that are put in here.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, what was in the middle column there, the switch of UVic versus Oak Bay in the district, was a misunderstanding of the writer in this case, that it's actually the university that's in the lead. They own the master plan, and the district supports it or follows along. So that's just a correction. It was not meant to be written like that. And then on the left-hand side, that was a suggestion from university staff, and it's simply a reference to make sure in the land use table, if somebody would pull up this land use table, they would know or be notified. There's also a separate section with further detailed Cedar Hill Corner policies. Thank you.
Councillor Smart?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good. Not seeing any other hands or discussion. I am going to call the question on those changes. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. We move then to what was number 7 in the list here, but is actually number 8 of the 8th change. So in section 5.3.
I'll move under section 5.3 under the heading Townhouse Residential, that the words such as duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and townhouses be struck.
Moved. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Are there any questions on this? Go ahead, Councillor Smart. Oh, you're muted. Please.
If you could just clarify the intent of this change. Thank you.
Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor. Upon further review, we noticed that we had copied in language from the residential designation, but this is the townhouse designation, which is a separate designation. So this is not including duplex, triplexes, fourplexes. This is the designation for bigger townhouse projects beyond 4 units. Thank you.
Is that clear, Councillor Smart?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to see no other hands. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. And then in section 5.3, under the heading Uplands.
I will move that under section 5.3. I'm not sure if it's coming out or going in. That we add in the word homes after with larger.
Moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on this? Councillor Smart, your hand is still up, but I don't think you probably have a question on this. Okay, so it's just a missing word. All clear. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. We then go to number 9, which is section 8.3.
And I'll move that in section 8.3, built environment development permit area, subsection 8.3.3, multi-unit development permit area, that we
Maybe adding the language that's in
add
bold.
the language that's in bold, which is articulation may be considered in lieu of setbacks through the use of balconies, trellises, and architectural features.
All right, thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Green.
Just a question through you to Mr. Bowl. One of the things that we don't have yet are design guidelines and/or form and character. Is this a section where that might ultimately fit, or would it be a separate section? Because a lot of the communities that have revised their official community plans, I understand, and did the design guidelines and form and character up front. And I just wondered if that is the plan with our own OCP eventually. Thank you.
Mr. Bowl.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe I should clarify that this particular change was specifically proposed for the multi-unit development permit area. So this applies to townhouses and apartment buildings. This is in addition to existing design guidelines that we do have. We also have design guidelines for commercial and mixed use. We do have design guidelines for infill housing as well. The infill housing ones are revised, and there is in the track change you can find a set of where the changes are. I think this particular one, because it applies to larger buildings, I think 4 stories and up, that's where this comes in. So it's a bit different than infill housing. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this addition? I don't see any, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. That concludes the sort of housekeeping changes that aren't sort of spelling and grammar. So those are the simplest of the pieces, but a lot of the rest of these are probably fairly straightforward as well. But the first one is probably the not as straightforward. I'm not sure how we want to exactly manage this. Do we want to pull it up on the screen here, or do have a Word document separate from the document that we will refer to? Ms. Anderson?
Yes, thank you for the question, Mayor. We have both options. We can go to the section of the bylaw that we have inserted potentially
That's
the motion.
fine. Yep, as long as we can see it, that's great. So this is section B12. Give you a chance to go there. So this is maybe, I'm not sure how to do this because this is sort of really possible council changes. There's a piece here around egress for fire, and we just want to make sure that we're all in keeping with what was pieced in here. So it's a potentially changed wording based on a little bit of a couple of comments that were brought back from members of council, and I don't know if staff want to speak to this at all, because I think it's important that we hear from staff on this a little bit as well. Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you I can provide some comments, and Chief MacDonald might have information to add as well. But this is a topic that has come up in recent times. It's a change to the BC Building Code, and we have at the staff level had discussions about this, and looking into it, it's not an easy thing to accommodate in the District of Oak Bay context, and that's where we felt it necessary to manage expectations at the OCP level. We're also looking into including this in another bylaw, probably the building bylaw, to see if that's a place to clarify that. And I think Chief MacDonald would be a better place to talk to you about the specifics of why that is. Thank you.
Sure, and perhaps, Chief, it might be helpful because I think the prescriptive language that was there originally. This is replacing it with a little bit softer to give a bit more flexibility. So curious if you're supportive of that change, and if so or not, why as well. Over to you, and welcome.
Thanks, Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I am supportive. First off, as my colleague, Mr. Bull, indicated, that this is a relatively new and emerging issue. The amendment to the building code was actually just made in August of 24 at the request of BC Housing to the Codes and Standards branch. So the amendment is limited to single egress stairwell buildings, which now allow up to 6-story buildings, 4 units per floor with an occupancy of 24 residents per floor. But there are certain conditions or code assumptions that are now in place in the company or within the building code. So the building code makes it clear that this design option is only appropriate where several critical fire safety assumptions are met. And those relate to fire prevention capacity, fire suppression capacity, occupant and egress and rescue capability, and water supply reliability. And then within the BC Building Code, there are notes that explicitly state that residential buildings with a single exit should not be located in jurisdictions where a high level of fire prevention oversight, fire suppression activities, and occupant rescue capabilities cannot be maintained. And it further goes on to identify that in small or volunteer fire departments, it might that jurisdiction might not be suitable to support that type of development. It further goes on to talk about municipalities that have professional fire departments may be suitable, but it doesn't actually specify the size of those departments. But when it's talking about the code assumptions with regards to the suppression capacity and the egress and rescue and water supply capability, it outlines that there's an expectation that the local fire department, and I say local because it's important that it's in the context of the local fire department only, it's not relying on mutual aid departments, has the capability to provide simultaneous water supply, so that's taking a hydrant, and then having the ability to provide fire suppression capability, so that's putting water on a fire, as well as simultaneously rescue people. So that's a lot of activity when our minimum staffing is 5. So that is, as council's aware through the fire master planning process, pretty limited capacity for us, and we have the ability to maintain interior operations for a maximum of 10 minutes. This is obviously quite a complex issue. It's new and it's emerging. I think having this in there in this way is a good way to raise the issue. And as Mr. Bull indicates, we are planning on coming back with some additional way to try and manage the issue. But this does get it on the radar screen for all residents as well as developers.
Thank you very much, Chief, and appreciate that context. So the recommendation here, not yet moved, but I'll probably seek a motion in a moment, is to change the language from will not be supported to may not be supported in those pieces. So go ahead, Councillor Smart, with the question.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I have a question so much as a comment, but maybe my question is through you, Mayor, to staff. I guess just the legal ramifications of having this in the OCP, being that the building code is really above the OCP. Are there legal concerns? And is this really the best place, because it is such a political conversation right now, to have this in the OCP? Is it really appropriate? Or I would love to have this discussion with a staff report and learn more about it. I just question whether it's really appropriate for us to have this in our official community plan.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor. We haven't heard about our building bylaw yet and how we could include it there, or whether we could include it there. That said, normally we cannot change the building code. There's a building act limits us to that. However, in this case, because the building code itself pinpoints conditions and expectations about this, from, and we're not lawyers as staff, but we feel very comfortable that that was clearly the intent of the BC Building Code. This was not a one-size-fits-all. This was subject to appropriate conditions in communities. So that's where that's why we worded the policy as we did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Smart. You're still muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to staff. Will this be something that staff brings back to us so we can have a more fulsome update and discussion around this?
Sure. Give it to you, Mr. Bull. There was mention that this will probably come back as part of some bylaw discussion, but the OCP portion of it we are dealing with tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor. Indeed, and that's so it's a separate follow-up probably on the building bylaw in the future. But today there would be either we include this now or we need to deal with that in the OCP at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Watson.
Yes, I have a question for Chief McDonald, please. Thank you for your explanation of what the, in bringing in this amendment to the building code in August 2024, what kind of leeway was given for individual jurisdictions to think about this issue. I just wondered, in Greater Victoria, in the CRD, what other fire department would be like ours in size and scope in terms of what it's offering? And I ask that because when I hear you talk about the sort of framing of this in the code, I am suspecting that the framing really was thinking more about small rural municipalities that are distant from other places and really don't have other support or capacity, and certainly rural volunteer fire departments. But I was not anticipating that I would hear it was in the context of major urban fire protection.
Sir Chief.
Through the Mayor to Councillor Watson. Very good questions, and as I indicated, this is relatively new and emerging and has been the center of a lot of dialogue through the BC Association of Fire Chiefs, the BC Professional Firefighters Association, the Fire Prevention Association, officers in BC and whatnot. So direct comparable for us would be Esquimalt. Their staffing levels are very similar. They are exploring options themselves. I know in conversations with their fire chief, it is on their radar screen. They're trying to figure out how best to navigate it as well. But I think it is very important to emphasize that when you're dealing with a structure fire in a building where you're now limited to a single means of egress, the complexity of that incident is magnified extremely high, and the impact on the resources that are needed on scene are significantly greater than what we would normally have to deal with. And to put this into context, there are a lot of jurisdictions that are aware that Seattle, the city of Seattle, supports single egress stair development. However, what a lot of people aren't aware is the conditions on which they support them. And the Seattle Fire Department, being the local fire department, specifically requires they need to be able to demonstrate that they will have 32 firefighters on scene within 8 minutes of notification with multiple ladder trucks. That is the type of resources I'm talking about, to be adequately staffed and resources to support fire incidents in a design of this nature.
Councillor Watson?
No, I will have some more commentary about this. Actually, well, yeah, I'll wait. There may be other people around the table. Thanks.
One other person is speaking this at this point, which is Councillor Appleton.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to the Chief. Chief, thanks so much for this. This is actually super useful information and super relevant to this conversation because, as you say, it is emergent and a subject of much discussion. So just for clarity, just given the way that this language reads currently, and because it is an evolving area, I guess maybe you can clear up whether I'm thinking correctly here, but it sounds to me the maximum size for a single egress stair in the building in the current code, like you mentioned, 6 stories. I think what I'm hearing you say is that potentially depending on is it an issue with single egress stair period, or is it potentially an issue of the size and scope of a single egress stair building, as in the more compact and the more residents that are in that building, the more it becomes possible to address it with the protective capacity that we have?
Chair Chief.
Through the mayor, hard for me to answer from a, obviously I'm not an expert in this area, and we're all struggling with this North America wide. And I do say North America wide because there are numerous jurisdictions that are now authorizing single egress stair developments, but it's what are the required criteria to support it that is really hard to determine when you're looking around these different jurisdictions, around the world, because they are supported in areas of the UK and some other places, right? But I can't tell you specifically, the amount of resources are required or what the challenges are from the building design or the occupancy level. But I do know that the complexity is extremely magnified, and the ability to provide external rescue as well as supporting the interior operations simultaneously becomes that much greater, which is a significant challenge for us.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that somebody move the revised language, which goes from prescriptive to may not be supported. Moved and seconded. Thank you. So that's on the floor for debate, and this will require council support to move forward. Yeah, and Councillor Smart's hand I saw up. Did you? All right, I'll go to Councillor Smart first. Go ahead.
Thank you. I won't be supporting the motion at this time. This is a very important issue, one that I really want to learn more about. But I think this is too big of an issue at this late of a date to just slip into the OCP, and I'm not really confident that this is the appropriate place to have this discussion, particularly because it is so political right now, and the outcome is uncertain. And in a year's time, it might be out of date in the OCP. So this is something I'd like to see come back, with the staff report to learn more about. But it's not something that I would be comfortable with putting in the OCP, especially because it is related to building code, and I feel like it's a slippery slope even with that mention in the building code without more information at this time to put that in our official community plan. Thanks.
Councillor Watson, you said you had a couple of comments.
Yes, thank you. Likewise, I would prefer that section B, 12 be removed from the OCP at this time, because I don't think it's the right place. And I also think that from a policy perspective, there are really huge economic and livability benefits of single egress buildings, and that is why these changes were brought forward to the building code. So to already be kind of turning away our backs to that without having a policy discussion about it in the context of our community and maybe the CRD more broadly, I think it is premature. Mr. Boll has suggested that there might be other places to be dealing with concerns or reservations right now, but I really think it is too early to make this an OCP policy, given that we're really just seeing it for the very first time. I'd like to see more staff work and an opportunity for discussion before we move forward. So I would actually like to see this taken out of the draft.
Okay, thank you. I have Councillor Patterson, then Braithwaite, and Appleton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I will be supporting this going in the OCP because I think it does clearly identify risk that, and this is a place to do it because we don't have it elsewhere. And really the response from fire departments, as Chief McDonald articulated so well, is really dependent on the force you have to assist with this. Certainly, I've had the experience of large buildings and smaller buildings, and so the response that you got, depending on the circumstances within a given building, was dependent on on exactly those conditions and how many departments would respond if alarms went off. And so I think this clearly articulates in our official community plan that, yes, we have a professional firefighting department. However, it is a small size. And by putting it in the OCP, it should provide a clear message to those who manage those types of buildings that you plan accordingly. If the guidance changes in building code going forward, then I think they would come with also mandated requirements for what your firefighting complement would have to be. So yes, it is early in the process, but I don't think it's so much a political issue to me as a risk issue that we should clarify our intent as a municipality as to what we can and will support. So for that reason, I am in agreement with the fire chief that we should put it in the OCP at this point in time.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Councillor Braithwaite and Appleton.
Thanks so much, Mayor. And I definitely hear what Councillor Smart and Watson are saying. However, I would agree with Councillor Patterson's comments, and so we'll be supporting based on what the chief has presented to us tonight. Thank you.
Appleton?
Thank you, Worship. So I actually made the motion, but I'm just going to indicate that I won't support it this time, just because I think that given the complexity of the issue and given how significantly affordability of new multi-unit housing can be affected by the single egress stairs design, I think that it warrants, I do think it warrants a separate discussion and a standalone discussion evaluating pros and cons. So wouldn't support that at this time, would actually seek to have that red line section, which is actually an addition, removed.
Thank you. So BE 12 in front of us as amended may not be supported multi-unit residential development. Seeing no other speakers, I'll speak briefly. This one I've gone back and forth with a couple of times. I'm inclined to support it. I think that, there's a couple other changes in existing policy as we go through this that, I think a lot of times these policies in OCPs are put in here to just kind of highlight a moment in time that there is a uncertainty. And so for that purpose, there should be an explanation of why that this might not just follow standard practices. And so I do think this is a sort of completely in line with what the intention of these kind of policy pieces are for. And I do ultimately, while we haven't had a staff report on this, we do have a recommendation from our fire chief that there are concerns about in some situations this may cause some issues. And so this frees up a conversation to happen between the fire department and the development community on specific projects. So I think given that recommendation, I can support it. So go ahead, Councillor Green.
Thank you. I will also support the motion as it reads. We can always review this at a later date. We can red flag it for review and further input, but I trust the professionals at this point, and that happens to be our chief of the fire department. So this is a public health and safety issue. It has nothing to do with politics in my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Good discussion. Oh, I have a second time speaker, and Councillor Smart, please go ahead. Oh,
thank you. Just a question through you, Mayor, to staff. I'd just like to know what the process would be for if we have an applicant come in tomorrow and want to design a project with a single egress stair. I'm guessing if this passes tonight, it will probably mean that we don't have any projects coming forward at all with this design due to the uncertainty of it. But would staff be able to answer an applicant and give them certainty before they design a project on whether or not it will be approved? And secondly, should someone come tomorrow with a design that's already drafted, what are the legal ramifications of us not supporting it? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor. I'm going to change the question to after the OCP is adopted, because that's actually where this kicks in, not tomorrow. But yes, if staff can answer that question in terms of process. Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The OCP policies guide more our general district and council decisions down the road. It does provide information, so if somebody wanted to bring it up or had already designed something, it would still be reviewed. We would look at the details. We would work and follow up with the applicant, and also with input from the fire department to make sure they understand our concerns. I think probably an expectation that it would be changed, but there may be scenarios possible where maybe the building is very small, or it's a different scenario that we have no concerns about. But it's at least after the OCP is adopted with this policy in place, it would be more clear for people that are doing their homework on larger projects that this is one of the expectations that the district, or one of the limitations that the district has. Thank you.
Please continue, Councillor Smart.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, then to staff. So what I'm hearing then is by passing this motion, even though we have softened it, it seems to be potentially communicating to the planning department that we're actually making a policy change to not allow for this type of typology in planning. And so this brings up a concern for me, even in further, without staff coming back with more information for us to make an informed policy approach around the table. So if this does pass, I would like to put forward a motion for staff to bring back a more fulsome report around this issue.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Smart. I certainly have opportunity for motions arising at the end of the meeting here, if that's your will. But let's see if it passes first. We still have it. Go ahead, Councillor Watson.
Thank you. I cannot support this motion. I'm having difficulty with it. Although it now says may not be supported, it's got very hard and unequivocal language in it that says cannot be protected as envisioned in the code. If it said cannot be protected as required in the code, that would be different for me. But we are speculating actually here, in all respect to Mr. McDonald, about actually what the code intends and whether it applies in our circumstances. And I think that's why it needs a broader discussion. This is all about balancing risk with benefit. And our fire protection risk is evaluated in a certain way, and then there's also benefits to society and our community about having a different style of housing that was envisioned when this code change was brought about. So I don't think it gets too cut and dried here when we put it in the OCP, and I can't support it because I just don't think it should be here right now.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. I'm going to turn that into a little question as well to staff, because I'll say I share that, this is always a balance between the complexity and cost and everything else, and there are benefits to having this format. So I'm just trying to get in my head what impact having this policy to enable the I guess the opt-out of the municipality based on fire suppression would engender in real terms. Like, is this still possible? I heard from the first answer, I thought I heard that it was still possible to have single egress, which I do support in cases where it makes sense. I also hear from the chief. So I'm just, maybe for my clarification, if we can kind of get some sense of, like, yeah, I mean, I don't want this to essentially be a non-starter for all single egress buildings if it makes sense in some cases. So maybe just some clarification about what this, consideration does, leading on to appreciating there may be future policies. So it's a vague question, but I am curious about what we anticipate how many buildings this would impact, and is there still flexibility in there to look at each case individually? Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor. And in response to your question, these are typically larger buildings we anticipate that would go through rezoning application anyway, so it's very much a case-by-case consideration. But that said, I don't want to I think we should be clear about it. The policy was drafted with the intent to give a warning sign, so to say, that's not a given. So don't count on a single egress solution in your buildings, particularly bigger buildings, simply because of the limitations that our local fire department have. And the building code language is quite tentative about it. When we looked at it as staff, it's an interesting piece of code. Normally it's black and white, and this is not black and white at all. So that's where we somewhat feel empowered that we can, at the local level, apply discretion to that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion before I call the question? All right, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And those opposed? I have
Voting
Councillor-
against.
Thank you, Councillor Smart, and Councillor Watson and Appleton opposed. That does carry. We move to the second possible council changes. Maybe we can bring it up on under, so this is under section 5.3 housing, under infill residential. And Kerry, this is the question you had about building stratas, so it's sort of taken the language and put it in where it would go into the document. But I'm not sure if you want to move this or if you just wanted to kind of raise it for conversation at this point or ask some questions.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor. I'm just reviewing the text in front of me.
Sure.
Okay, I have submitted a revised motion for this item, which has very similar content, but is revised, and I could read that now, and then staff could maybe bring it up because I didn't submit it at the beginning of this meeting. So I could move the motion, and I will just read it slowly. So the motion would be to support building strata plans within infill residential lots, particularly where retention of an original primary residence or heritage registered home is included.
Sure. Can we just strike out the one above it then so we're very clear about? So if this gets added, it'll be added as a new tag line. It'll be H38 under infill housing pieces. So do we get that language right? Well, as soon as we get the typos. So support.
I can't read it all yet, but
it should be on your screen.
yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah.
I'll read it back to you. I'll read it back to you just for clarification. So H38. Support building strata plans within infill residential lots, particularly where retention of an original primary residence or heritage registered home is included.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. It's moved. I will seek a seconder. Seconded. Before I actually let you motivate Councillor Smart, I just want to make good of staff and just make sure this is not, this would not cause, I guess, any known grief or problems from a OCP policy perspective. Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor. I think the word conversion needs to be in here somewhere. This is specifically about strata conversion, because a building strata itself doesn't have any involvement from the district. If it's all new units, a surveyor can just register that at land titles, no problem. But I think, if I understand the intent correctly, this is about strata conversion, so support building strata conversions within infill residential housing. That would be more clear, because then we are specifically talking about that. Thank you.
Okay, so take away plans. So the language would then be support building strata conversions within infill residential lots, particularly where retention of an original primary residence or heritage registered home is included. Okay. Is that sufficient for you, Councillor Smart?
Yes, that's more clear. Thanks.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and motivate? We have a mover and seconder, so go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'm bringing this forward based on a very thoughtful email that we all received from a resident just highlighting the potential to see more demolitions of existing buildings related to a disparity in rules around staff delegated stratas for new construction versus existing construction. And so having reviewed that material and messaged and asked some questions, I guess I am supportive of putting this in the OCP if it means that it could save some of our existing housing stock.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate people probably need a moment just to contemplate what this means and whether you're supportive or not. I'm happy just to speak to it if it helps a little bit. I too have thought about this as well, and I appreciate this simpler version. I think this gets to the heart of the matter, as Councillor Smart has pointed out. I think this just makes it clear that this is possible within infill residential lots. Doesn't touch on the heritage conversions in multifamily, which is, I think, a separate piece entirely, and there's separate policy on that. So I think achieves the intention in my mind of just making it clear that we do support this where you're doing it to maintain an existing home. Any other discussion on it? Because it's new, I just want to give people a moment to think. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Green.
Could I ask a question through
Absolutely.
through the mayor to staff? Mr. Bull or Mr. Green or whomever, are there any unintended consequences that you can see off the top with this proposed clause? I know it's short notice and it's quick, but I'm just wondering if there's anything that red flags you at all. Thank you.
This was circulated earlier today to staff for some contemplation, so hence their preparation a little bit. But go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Maybe as further context to strata conversions, usually if municipalities have strata conversions policies, it's about protecting rental stock. But historically, that was more geared towards purpose-built rental buildings, larger buildings. And now with infill housing or small-scale multi-unit housing, we have a new version of strata conversion that is being explored by some applicants. And that's where an existing home on that site, there's maybe other home constructed or an accessory dwelling unit, and now the builder or developer seeks to stratify all units. But there's existing houses there, so technically that's the strata conversion. And the Act allows council, actually empowers council to make the decision on that strata conversion. And one of the things that council needs to do under the Strata Property Act is to consider the need for rental housing. So that's kind of the context here. So this policy would kind of give direction to council that for infill housing lots, strata conversion would be supported, and that would give some policy direction as opposed to there is an existing, I believe, other policy in the OCP that talks about rental buildings, and that's where it's not a given. It's actually where we would consider the rental housing market and weigh that carefully before council takes a decision on those. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Patterson. And then Watson, and then Appleton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And just to further, just to ensure that I understand. So then on a lot where there's a primary residence and there is an accessory dwelling unit added to it, then this would allow it to go forward so that the property could be divided into strata? Is that what this would allow?
I'm sure, Mr. Bull, there is language there, building strata conversion, so it'd be helpful to have the legal definition.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. To you, only a building strata, which means that the lot stays in as one whole, and the units on there could be strata units, but they still share the single property together, as opposed to a bare land strata, which then you split up the lot in smaller lots, and each lot is its own entity. Thank you.
Councillor Watson and Appleton.
Thank you. Not a question, but I will be supporting this. I think that one of the things that I have heard out and about is that this allows people who would like to maintain their home and maybe make an arrangement with their adult children to actually create separate titles and allow for bank financing. Without this, it's impossible financially in order for this to happen. And so it is another policy tool in the quiver to both maintain these homes and allow residents to age in place if they have other family members or other folks who are interested in kind of figuring out a financial scheme that allows this to happen.
Thank you, Councillor Appleton.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, also speaking in favor and concur, this offers a different 10-year option that is not, it's not the one solution for everything, but in certain circumstances it affords another tool for people who have buildings of a certain age to invest in those buildings, invest in some nice older houses, to have a different type of tenure depending on what their living arrangements are like or how they want to come at that. So certainly would not want to do so in a broad-based way to erode sort of some affordable rental options like basement suites, but there are certain buildings and certain homes in the community that lend themselves to this type of conversion, and this type of large home conversion has been sort of on the community's mind and been discussed in the community even going back to our infill housing strategy a number of years ago.
Thank you. Councillor Green, you just wanted to actually recuse yourself from this particular vote because it's specific to a infill. Can you just state for the record why you're recusing yourself? Yes, oh, your microphone.
Our son is an applicant for an ADU on our property, so I do not want to be part of this conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll let you just step out. You can go into the committee room briefly, and I think I've exhausted my speakers list, so, but if there's more debate, we will have that and then call the question. And then, gone sufficiently far. I'm going to call the question. Nothing in the other hands. All those in favor? And those opposed? I record down as opposed. That carries. Can somebody wave at Councillor Green and ask her to come back in? The next one on the third item on the things that require council directed changes. This is under the official community plan, under community, institutional, and social well-being, under the heading healthcare, which is coming up very quickly here. There's just a little segment explaining Oak Bay Lodge lands, and it was, so this is actually my suggestion. It's just that the technical facts of the matter were a little dated, and so this is the suggested reformed language. I think that needs to still strike out owned by the Capital Regional Hospital District in that top line, or the second line.
I'll make that motion.
Yes. Yeah. Because the lodge itself was owned and operated by Island Health, and then later on it explains that the current lot is now owned by the Regional Hospital District, but that transfer happened after that. So this isn't really a policy, it's just an explanation of the context of healthcare in Oak Bay. Has everybody had a chance to read it? Can I just suggest someone make a motion to, moved and seconded, thank you. Any other suggested changes or questions? Nice when it's not policy. All those in favor? Any opposed? Unopposed? Thank you. We move then to the next item, number 4, which is under community, institutional, and social well-being. Again, this is just correcting a bit of a dated statement, CIS 17. So the suggested motion is to support the continued presence of the Canadian College of Performing Arts within Oak Bay, to change it away from encourage and support the relocation of the Canadian College of Performing Arts. Moved, is there a seconder? Okay. And just as a way of clarification, at the time the 2014 OCP was drafted, there was an expectation that their lease term was going to end at their current site, and so they were starting to seek additional locations, and so we wanted to make clear at that OCP that we did want them to stay within Oak Bay, even though we didn't have a specific site. And that is not the current status. They seem to have a very positive relationship in their current site, so this just essentially just simplifies it. So moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Unopposed? Then we go to number 5, and this is section 5.3 on Cedar Hill Corner policies, and I think this is one of the ones, Councillor Smart, that you may have brought forward. There's H39, is that what I see here?
I was thinking.
I think that may have been it, that we strike, by striking site master plan and adding a new policy H39 as, prior to any development. That was as opposed to submission of a thing, yeah.
I guess I would like to move that motion. Mayor, and if it's seconded, I'd be happy to motivate.
Sure. Is there a seconder for the motion? Moved and seconded. This probably needs a little bit of context. Councillor Smart.
Thank you for the opportunity to bring this up to council and staff. So this was brought to me by Vic, and it was particularly...
Sorry, Councillor Smart, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we just get the page number this is on just in the OCP, just so we can actually go look at where this is in the context of the overall policies? Yeah, in the non-red line version?
I'll see if I can...
I'll ask staff for it. I'm asking staff, Councillor Smart, it's okay. So in the non-red line version, just the completed version, if you can just give us the date that...
Thank you. It's on page 64, so that's the lower right corner 64.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Please continue, Councillor Smart.
Thank you. So this was a specific edit brought to us by UVic, and it's related specifically to the very positive working relationship that they have had so far with staff, where they are envisioning a process of working together with regards to putting together the master planning. And they just wanted some flexibility, not knowing yet the outcome, knowing that we haven't pre-zoned yet, and not knowing how that's going to play out. They wanted the flexibility to not have in the OCP the specific sequencing regarding the rezoning application process. That may be how it works out in the end, but there may also be a phased approach that involves some pre-zoning, in which case the public consultation, which they have full intentions of engaging with the public, but it may not be as rigid as this particular wording.
I'm confused by the H39. Where does that refer to? Because it doesn't seem to be part of the numbering system in the document. Sorry, Mr. Green.
Yeah, because this is in the housing policy chapter, and because it just makes more sense that this is a logical numbering of the policies in relation to Cedar Hill corner lands.
Oh,
that
I see.
should
So it would be
housing.
sort of a single bullet under
Correct.
that section. Okay.
It was previously CPS 1 policy when we had a comprehensive planning sites, but we've removed comprehensive planning sites really, and so what we felt was better wording was to continue the housing numbering for those policies to follow from H38 that you just considered.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. That's helpful.
It's still called out as CPS in the red line version.
Yeah, I think it's so it's fair to point out there is still under the Cedar Hill Corner Comprehensive Planning Site in the non-red lined, the documents still say CPS 1, CPS 2, CPS 3. Is that intentional or is that going to change?
Thank you, Mayor. That's going to be changing. Yeah,
So
we
that's
noticed
being-
that was still separately numbered. Thank you.
But that is still being dealt with under the first motion, which is housekeeping type. Okay. Thank you. So with that, are we clear about what the motion is then? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Don't see any. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Then we move to number 6 on my list, which is just, if we can go there to, this is development permit area guidelines, infill residential development permit area. And again, Councillor Smart, this is a suggestion you had a question about it. And so if you want to ask your question before you make the motion, you're more than welcome to do so. Or if you want to make the motion and then motivate, you're welcome to do that too. And this is the changing the consistent to complementary.
Thank you. I did have an opportunity to ask a question way at the beginning of the meeting when we probably don't remember that long ago, but...
We did. Yep, you did.
I'm happy to make the motion and then motivate if I get a seconder.
We didn't really get an answer to that question. Did you want to ask the question and have an answer?
Oh, that's true. Yes, I So my question is with regards to the comment around ancillary buildings needing to be consistent with the design of the, and I think it was, principal building on the site. I just see that for C, especially with heritage, respect for heritage buildings, that there may be a desire to have a contrasting style that would also be very complementary, but may not be consistent in that it might not mimic the design of an older building in order to highlight the beauty of the heritage building. So my question to staff is, do they see that the word complementary might still capture the intent that staff was hoping to achieve with this design guideline, which I assume is around beautification of streetscapes?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Indeed, it does mean something different, but either meaning or either option it works for staff. It depends a bit on the situation. Sometimes consistent might be a better option. Sometimes complementary is a better option, particularly in the case of heritage. In the case of heritage situations, we would probably have a heritage alteration permit running that particular project anyway. But yeah, this is because it's a different meaning. It's up to council, but either wording works. Or thank you.
Thank you. So, question asked and answered. Joe, do you want to, if you wish to make the motion, Councillor Smart, we can. Oh, was it already moved and seconded? I can't remember. No. So, if you wish to move it now after that answer, you're more than welcome to do so. Otherwise, we'll move on.
I would like to move the motion, but based on staff comment, I would like to change the motion to complementary or consistent to capture both of those, hearing that.
Okay, just before we get a seconder for that, I'm just going to let Councillor Green recuse herself for the same reason.
I'm sorry, I have to recuse for the same reason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The motion on the floor is to add the words complementary or to the motion in a way that it works out as complementary or consistent with the principal building on a site. So moved, and is the seconder amenable to that? I think you were the seconder. Yep. Okay, so that's the motion live on the floor. Councillor Watson?
I'd just like to suggest it be complementary to or consistent with, to be grammatical. But I would like to speak to that. I'm not sure we even need the consistent. I will support the motion. I think complementary to is very much in line with what we require in the uplands when projects like ancillary buildings are looked at under the uplands design guidelines, and it is complementarity. It's not consistency, it's how does it fit in, and I think that's a fair request. I'm not sure consistency, even in our most protected neighborhood, is actually a feature, so I think it might even be overkill. But if this is what everybody wants, I'd work with it, but I think complementarity is really the issue.
Okay, thank you. So the motion right now is, I think it should be complementary to, comma, or consistent with the principal building on a site. So that seems, you're right, grammatically correct. Although that would be a grammar change if staff decide that it's not quite 100%. So I think we're having radical agreement on minor things. So I'm about ready to call the question on this. And let's just go ahead, Councillor Patterson.
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. And I guess in reading it, I tend to agree with Councillor Watson. I support the complementary to, but when you put complementary to or consistent with, it almost seems like, okay, well, anything will go. Like, you know, it at least if it's complementary, it's a design element and people can speak to it. Complementary or to or consistent with is well, then you could it almost feels like you can do whatever you please, and it'll fit either complementary or consistent.
Thank you. I have no other speakers. I'm going to make a suggestion that we support it. I think it does give, ultimately, it's just essentially under design guidelines, just saying, hey, don't do something completely out of keeping with the current building. And that captures both sort of more heritage-oriented complementary or sort of current design consistency. I'm fine with either one. I think the intention here is really just finish in a manner that makes sense for the site, so that the staff have some ability to say, hey, that's not very consistent or complementary. So I'm going to just suggest that it's close enough that we move it forward, because I think it's just getting into the weeds a little more than we need to, but that's just my own take. Otherwise, if there's a motion to amend, we can take that now. Okay, so I'm going to call the question on the language that's in front of us. Complementary to or consistent with. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Can somebody get Councillor Green? Oh, this is a... So I think this one is not going to require a recusal. So we go to Section 8, Development Permit Area Guidelines for multi-unit development permit areas. There's a suggestion here of adding the word including laneways and contribute to both streetscapes including laneways if it's located on a corner site. Yep, that's the one. It's multi-unit buildings. So this is under 8.3. Yep. So it's in
I'm
two
happy
different.
to move this if you need a mover.
I do. It's your suggestion. So yeah. So this is under 8.3.3.6.3 and 8.3.3.6.7. You can see up and down here. It's just those two additions. So it considers laneways as part of streetscapes in the building facade. Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Smart. Is there a seconder? Seconded, thank you. Any discussion?
I can be brief just to motivate, just as we move forward both with our village centers and potentially any new housing that might even happen on our laneways. I think it's really important that we continue to see our laneways as the amazing public realms that they are, and I would just want to make sure that we were treating them as beautiful streetscapes.
Great, thank you. Don't see other discussion, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. That carries. And the last item in mine is same section, development permit area guidelines. Oh, my apologies.
No, our apologies, Mayor. We believe we've already covered that one.
I
in
was
the
just
staff
going to suggest that
recommendations.
was it. It is the same one that we did earlier. Okay. So we've magically finished. So that was all of the motions, I think, that came forward that were flagged by council to staff. Yeah, I think there was a motion arising. I just want to make sure in this conversation, I'm going to go and just make sure there's nothing else that staff had on a list that we need to bring forward.
Anything else coming forward?
Okay, then I'm going to go to any additional motions or motions arising. I do see Councillor Smart's hand first and then Councillor Braithwaite. Go ahead, Councillor Smart.
Thank you. I would just like to bring a motion arising for staff to bring back a fulsome report on single acre stairs and policy options.
Sure, thank you. Before I seek a seconder, I just want to, if this is already work in progress, then it may not be necessary, but if not, we can make that request. I suppose the request would still be in order even if it was still coming, but to staff, do we have a anticipated report coming at this point, or would such a motion give direction? Mr. Bull?
Thank you, Mayor. We are looking into it, and if that results in a bylaw change, it will come to council. So having that interest, though, recorded through a council motion might be helpful. So regardless of the outcome of our investigations, we can follow up with you, or sorry, regardless if there will be bylaw changes or not, it will come back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I just ask that you repeat the motion again, Councillor Smart, so we all know what the motion is?
Yes, for staff to bring back a fulsome report on single egress stairs and policy options.
Okay, I'm going to ask that we remove the word fulsome, because I think that's not necessary, but a report on single egress stairs. And okay, so that's the motion. Is there a seconder? Moved and seconded. Thank you. It's moved and seconded. Go ahead, Councillor Smart. I think we kind of motivated in the course of our debate, but please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. We kind of covered it, but I guess the gist of this is that I would like to give certainty to those who are designing buildings in our community as early as possible if there are ways in which we may be able to have single egress stairs under certain parameters. I anticipate that we won't see projects coming forward with this design if there's any uncertainty. So I think that we owe it to our community, knowing some of the innovative community-oriented housing typologies that could come forward and provide more affordable housing, to look at where we might be able to do this. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Appleton?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, so I'm in support of this motion just because I've heard lots of really important new information from Chief McDonald tonight, and I understand that the Chief's been working with our building and planning staff on this, and so there's apparently been some really good evaluation of the current state of things, and also identifying what things we're going to need to consider in the future as this rolls out and that type of thing. So I think because, again, and I appreciate this discussion that happened earlier in terms of the balance of risk versus potential housing opportunity, I think it's going to be great to have the entirety of the data in front of us. It is really a big, this possibility for this housing form presents a real good opportunity, again, for an affordable housing option, provided it can be done in a way that fits with our capacity on fire protection. So I'm interested in what I've heard so far already tonight. I'd really like to hear more.
Thank you. Other discussion? It's probably worth just setting a bit of expectations on this one. I heard, yes, Councillor Smart suggests that this may put a hold on things until we get this report, but I also heard from the Chief that this has been a conversation since last year as we've been trying to work out what this actually means in some of these jurisdictions. And so I didn't have the impression this was about to be resolved. So I just want to make sure that what staff are thinking in terms of when and how this would come back is in alignment with what council's expecting. So maybe I might give, if it's appropriate, I might just ask the Chief if you have a sense of like where those discussions are happening, or how is this being worked on? Is there a working group happening at a different level that might lead to a natural timeline, or are there any other guidelines you might give us that you might, when this kind of report might come back, or if it would be tied entirely to the planning department?
Through the mayor, thank you. So there are a variety of working groups that are up and running around the province, but yeah, I think they're at a higher level. And in regards to the local jurisdiction, I think it's important that fire is working closely with the planning department, and I know Mr. Green has reached out for legal support, and I'm not sure on what expected timelines might be to get some feedback from legal on providing some guidance to us. And then I think we would probably be taking direction from planning on how best to move forward as far as a report, and whether it's co-authored and what our approaches are to come forward. Mr. Bull.
Sure, to Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that's exactly the approach. Thanks.
So what I am hearing is it's not going to wait until all those working groups have resolved everything. It would be something we could do internally to give a report back. Okay, I think that's helpful. The motion's on the floor. Councillor Green.
Thank you. And my only concern is the capacity issue for our planning department and fire department working on a report at this point. I mean, they've been burning candles at night doing the official Canadian plan work and review. Is this a large ask at this point? And do they feel comfortable handling yet another report for council at this point? Thank you.
I love asking for reports. Mr. Bull, I may put you on the spot on this one. Or I may give it, if you wish to give it to Ms. Hunt, you're welcome to do so as well. Go ahead, Mr. Bull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Through you. Yes, this would not be immediately, but we are working on this. It is an important question to us as well because it is coming up, and we would like to have some clarity on how we can deal with that. In our case, if this is something that could live in the building bylaw for clarification, that would be hopefully, well, I'm speculating on the results of what our legal advice might be. But if it's, I hope we get something fairly narrow that we can bring back with not a too extensive report, and then we can take it from there if there's any follow-up later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't see anybody else on the speakers list at this time. I'm just going to speak briefly to the support for the motion. And this really ties around, I think this is exactly the kind of situation in which we probably do have to balance the relative cost and complexity versus safety, and that is squarely on the shoulders of the governance body to make those determinations. So it's enabled in the OCP, but the policy is yet to come, and I think that's it's appropriate for us to come back. And hearing what I've heard, I think it's reasonable for us to ask for this report back. So, any other question or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. That carries. Thank you. And then Councillor Braithwaite, you.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm wondering if, I know I sent this to staff late or at the beginning of the meeting, and I'm wondering if it might come up. It's around perhaps including a reconciliation statement within the OCP, and I believe I sent it to Mr. Green. It'll be in your email, sorry. Yeah. I mean, I can read it out what I have, but it's probably easier to bring it up on the screen.
Let's just give a second here. I'd like to bring these all up on the screen. These are non-changeable, for the most part, decisions that we're making tonight. So I just want to make sure we have it. And do you know where in the OCP you would expect this to be going?
I'm actually not sure because I did do a search on the OCP and I couldn't find anything, any mention of First Nations except for perhaps in the HCA. So it would probably be somewhere close to the beginning of the document.
Thank you. Can I just ask a question as to, there's obviously a land territorial acknowledgement, but there's no reconciliation statement. Is that something that is normally added to? Oh, there we go. Yeah. So this would be added underneath the traditional territory statement. Okay. So can we just make that a little bit bigger, if that's possible, so we can read it on screen? Should be able to probably zoom in. It would automatically make it larger. Or is it cut and pasted into?
My apologies to staff for, I honestly thought I sent it to you earlier, but it was again in my draft email box.
We'll just get the sharing over to Ms. Anderson's.
Your Worship,
Oh,
I
sorry,
would
Ms.
like
Hunt.
to just note that I've just canvassed a few of the other more recently updated official community plans from other communities, and they do tend to include a statement as part of the introduction, whether it's territory acknowledgement or some sort of reconciliation statement, so it's not unusual.
So I could read this out aloud and then motivate if I might.
Yeah, so the motion would yeah. So the motion, I know the slates are kind of
I
just
know.
the wrong glare. So yeah, go ahead and read it out.
So I would move that we add into our official community plan a reconciliation statement as follows. Oak Bay is located within the traditional territory of the Lekwungen people, represented today by the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. The district affirms its commitment to respectful and ongoing relationship building with these nations. Guided by Council's February 14th, 2022 motion adopting UNDRIP as a framework for reconciliation, Oak Bay commits to engaging with the Songhees and Esquimalt nations on matters related to land use and planning that may be of interest to them within municipal jurisdiction and capacity. The district will seek opportunities for meaningful dialogue, collaboration, and shared understanding as we prepare for the community's future.
So as you plan for the community's future is the word that's on the screen. Okay. So just so we don't get bogged down in wordsmithing, the choice of Esquimalt or Casepsum is to be determined. That's one of the little housekeeping things, just to make sure we use the right. I think we believe that because it's still their legal name, we have to use the Esquimalt name. So just, but that's not for debate here. I think the important piece here is that we get the intent correct, not the name, because there's other places that this has to be consistent. So thank you for moving that. Is there a seconder?
A second.
Moved and seconded. Go ahead, Councillor Braithwaite.
Thank you so much. I just felt that it was really important, especially with all of the conversation that we're having, and to basically include in our future planning something like this, this statement. And it essentially basically says that we're considering all of these things that that we have discussed as a council, and the motion that we adopted in February of 2022. And I just think that it would help with our relationships, and it would let our community know that this is top of mind for us as well. Thank you.
So before I go to other speakers, I just want to make sure that there's no red flags. I think that was a term used by other people earlier. So I know there's nobody in this room here is necessarily an expert in the exact language appropriate, but are there any words in here that we might just, that we should maybe see as, that are obviously missing or may cause some issues in terms of our, this being a land use planning document that may want to be amended in any way, shape, or form? Ms. Hunt?
Yes, Your Worship. I do note that we have a land acknowledgement in section 1.1 of the OCP, and
Yes.
so are you wishing to add that on as part of that land acknowledgement? Just
Yeah,
to
that
get
was,
clarity.
I think that the land acknowledgement should definitely be in there, but this would be in addition to the land acknowledgement. I think basically it kind of commits us to engagements, but it also acknowledges all of the work that's been ongoing as well.
It may make sense for that first sentence to just maintain our standard land acknowledgement that's been approved by the nations, and then followed by the district affirms its commitment. Yeah. So I might just make that suggestion that we just use the existing district of Oak Bay is located on the traditional territories, etc.
I would agree with that.
Okay. If the mover is a seconder, there was a couple of seconders that popped up. I think Andrew was or Councillor Appleton. Councillor Green as a seconder. Are you amenable with just using that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to suggest one word change.
Before I go to you for general comments, I want to go to the yes. There's a hand up by Councillor Smart, and I'll come to you. Go ahead, Councillor Smart.
Thank you. I was just going to speak in favor of this. I really appreciate Councillor Braithwaite bringing this up, and I'm happy with the wording as is, knowing that we won't double the earlier part. So I just, when we talked about this at the beginning of the scope for the OCP and discussed maybe having a section or lens on reconciliation, and it was too hard to come up with the staff capacity for that based on everything that the timeline and everything we were looking at. I think this is the least we can do to really show a greater sense of commitment, and I just really appreciate it coming forward.
Okay, any other speakers? Yes, Councillor Green, sorry, and then Watson.
I just wanted to suggest a friendly amendment on the wording, and I agree with Councillor Smart. I really appreciate Councillor Braithwaite bringing this forward. I just wanted to strengthen the first sentence, which would read, the district is committed to respectful and ongoing relationship building with these nations, rather than affirms. It's kind of soft, so I thought we could strengthen it with an active verb. Thank you.
So the mover and I'm going to go to the mover and seconder if they're okay with changing it from affirms its commitment to the district is committed to respectful and ongoing relationships.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. So the language is the district is committed. So this is being added after the territorial acknowledgement statement. Okay, thank you, Councillor Green. Councillor Watson. Appleton and
Thank you.
Patterson.
I have a question for the mover. I think it's a really lovely, I shouldn't use the word lovely. I think this is a really appropriate idea. What I am curious about is why we've limited the language, the movers limited the language to land use and planning. I know the OCP has a huge focus on that, but it is not the only purpose of an OCP. It covers more things policy-wise in our community, and I just wondered, this is a narrower focus, and I wondered why if you could justify or explain why you picked this particular lens, given the broad nature of an OCP.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Sorry, Mayor. I think that it was basically because in my mind the OCP is more on land use and planning, and I know there's other things within there. I'd be happy to listen to anything that anyone would have to say to add to this. That was the first thing that came into my mind, was the land use and planning.
I'll leave it as a question for now, unless you wish to make a motion.
Sorry, I'm not sure I could wordsmith that on the fly. I'm seeing it now, just right now, but anyway, thank you.
Okay, I have Councillor Appleton and then Patterson.
Thank you, Worship. And just following up for that, I understand the conceptual nature of sort of how this is presented. So I think it could include many aspects of planning writ large within the community. Just wanted to take this opportunity to extend, my gratitude to Councillor Braithwaite for bringing it forward. Very significant. Thank you.
Councillor Patterson?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I also wondered about it just relating to land use and planning. I know that the OCP is primarily focused on that, but I wondered if perhaps land use and community planning might be a more acceptable.
I'm going to take that as, I'm going to turn to, again, as usual, turn to the
Yeah.
mover and seconder if they're amenable to add land use and community planning.
I'm happy with the word community in there and thankful for the suggestion.
That's fine.
Okay, so that's amenable by the mover and seconder, so that's considered part of the motion.
Yep.
Anything else, Councillor Patterson?
No, that's all. Thank you.
I think we've got a wordsmith added language thing that is comprehensive and non-offensive, so I think we probably hit a home run. Anybody else see anything else here before I call the question? Thank you, Councillor Braithwaite, for the suggestion. Do we need to make a change? It now says land acknowledgement, so should it also just be, do we need a change of the title, or can staff at a staff level essentially, decide whether it needs to also include a reconciliation statement or something, a land acknowledgement and reconciliation statement? Is that a motion required thing, or are the headers essentially up to the, can staff be left alone? Happy to include it if you wish. Ms. Anderson?
I'm in the belief when in doubt, always go with a motion. Would
Okay,
be
so I'm
great.
going to turn to the mover and seconder again. Are you comfortable with adding that change to the title? Yes, and this is seconder? Okay.
Yeah.
So now this is, the motion is both the title and the wording as a section. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Any other items arising? I think so. Okay, so going back to the meeting notes here, I do believe that concludes the items on this agenda package. Thank you very much, everybody, for the walking through that. It was a lot, but I think really important. Procedurally, I think it's worth repeating where we're at. We've had a series of amendment motions to first reading. These will all come back as an amended OCP for second reading as amended, correct? That will be at the next meeting. And then we will go from there, once that's passed, then we will trigger a notification of public hearing. We are expecting that the second week of December, knock on wood. But that official notice will go out following that meeting. There's some other referrals and things that have to happen as well in the intervening time. But that is the expected timeline. And then we will reconvene probably for a special council meeting to consider the outcome of the public hearing following that, and a day fairly close following the public hearing process. So that's the process going forward. That's where we're at. Need a motion at this point to Oh, sorry, Councillor Smart, I see your hand. My apologies. Please go ahead. And you're muted still.
Thank you, Mayor, for that summary. I wondered if you could just clarify again, you know, the potential range of dates for the public hearings, if you possibly could, because I know that the community, of course, is very interested, and I realize we won't know exactly when they are, but just even giving people a sense, if you could just repeat your anticipation of even a range of dates, that would, I think, be helpful to the public.
Sure. Go to you, Ms. Anderson.
Yes, thank you. Following second reading next week, if that carries, we will be putting notification in 2 consecutive weeks for Tuesday, December 9th and Wednesday, December 10th.
The Wednesday being as needed. Okay, thank you. I think that's sufficient. I was going to actually have a motion arising, but it's not to bring anything back until the new year anyway, so I'm going to just not bother tonight. I think we can all take a deep breath and seek a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded, all those in favor? Any opposed? Not opposed. Thank you very much, everybody, for the debate, and we look forward to seeing you next week.